Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
See,
Well,
it's
no.
a maintain too.
Yeah, that makes
Okay,
sense.
I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
I get it. But she'll be like, it's good. I'll be like, really? And I'll be
yeah.
like,
Listen,
okay, it's
if
a
you
Right.
now I don't know what your cooking skills are like, but if you go to the right restaurant and or if you prepare the meals like the right way accordingly, I guarantee you anything you talking about right now. Like if I was to cook it, I know this sounds a little conceited, but I do take passion in cooking. Like I pay great amount of attention to detail. I think that you'd have a different opinion.
I'm not saying that I'm completely opposed to it. I'm not saying like I'm gonna eat like a burger wrapped in bacon as the bread. I'm not saying that because I do implement healthy stuff too. But Erica be like, "It's good." I'd be like,
That's what we joking about. She's like, it's so. I'm like, this.
"Yeah, she be like, it's so good." I'd be like, "I mean, vegetarian good and regular good is different because nothing can replace bacon."
I disagree with you. I disagree with
well,
you. I disagree with
Hey,
you.
Tamara, she make that. What's her name? Tamara Brown. She makes some carrot
bacon.
bacon.
I'm
Y'all,
just
she got
saying.
that looking good, but my Brussels sprout dish. Let me tell you something. But
It's
that was the joke
Talking
we had
vi-
going on.
Talking vegan dishes with two people who aren't vegan. This is interesting because if you like again if you know what to cook and you know how to prepare it,
You can make a dish.
you say there's nothing to replace bacon. Okay.
So
Okay.
I understand you train your palate, and I think once you program in your mind that you are gonna do something healthier, then you are a lot more tolerant than if you are just uh, doing stuff for flavor
Yeah.
and enjoyment.
Well, see, this is nope. I disagree with that because I think the way you're approaching this vegan lifestyle or vegetarian lifestyle, either one, is as if it's only about health. No, you don't have to sacrifice taste to be a vegan. You don't have to sacrifice flavor and creativity to be a vegetarian. No, people think like, oh, when I go vegan, when I go vegetarian, I have to give up bacon. I have to give up this, and my food has to be more bland, and I have such limited options. Not true.
See, and I don't.
You
I
gotta
hope
know
people
what
don't
you
think-
do.
I hope people don't think that because it allows you to explore food in a broader perspective when you remove your norm of what I always thought was good. Like we always thought, hey, season salt. But then when you become an adult and you broaden your cooking experience, you're like, oh, look at all these herbs. Look at this cilantro. Look at this smoked paprika. Like my daughter, she is a great cook. But she introduced me to different seasonings. And I'm like, man, so I have a vegetarian dish. And that allowed me to explore different ways to prepare dishes and use different ingredients. So I would hope no one has a limited thinking that now that they're vegan, it's gonna be bland. Like
And I know you two are from the Chicago area, and I remember from the first talk that we had, we were talking about how you grew up in certain environments, poverty-stricken environments, and I think this would be a great transition to say when you're in environments like that, a lot of times, most times, you are surrounded by liquor stores, fast food places. It's not by
that's true.
accident. That's done on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so you grow accustomed and addicted to this lifestyle of alcohol, drugs, and fast food, which make no mistake, fast food, you could be addicted to sugar and salts just as much as you're addicted to anything else. And I think we know that. But in relation to what we're talking about right now, I think growing up in environments like that, what happened is, and this right here blows my mind, and I love for you all's take on this. I will grow up and I will see grandmother, not my mother in this particular case, but you'll see grandmother, great grandmother, granddad, cousin, auntie, great uncle dealing with high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, struggling with weight, things like that. And as a kid growing up, what I used to think was, oh, this is just, it either happens to you or it don't. It's like, you just got to hope that it don't happen to you. I'm a kid. I don't know any better. But it's not until I'm going through middle school, high school, but especially college, that I'm like, oh, wait. We're going to continue to eat the same. We're not going to change anything about the way we eat. We're gonna barely work out, if any at all. But then when we reach a certain age and we start dealing with all these major, major health problems, it's like, oh, we're gonna sing Kumbaya and we're just gonna, huh?
Pray it away.
We're gonna
What-
pray it away.
Because we're addicted to this, and it's like we're not willing to sacrifice or give up anything for better health, for longer life,
A better life.
a better life. And I'm always confused about this because I'm looking at the situation now and I'm like, yo, yeah, there are cases where there are people who eat healthy that still get cancer. There are people who still eat healthy, but what happens is you greatly decrease your chances of dealing with a lot of health problems
Yeah.
by exercising and the things that you eat and put in your body. But where I come from, my family, my environment, it's like, no, we're not gonna sacrifice any of that. We're gonna live our life to the fullest.
Traditions.
We're gonna eat what we want, quote unquote soul foods that's filled with sugars and salts, and I mean we overdo it too. All this sugar in our Kool-Aid and
Kool-Aid.
but it's good though. But it's good though, right? Like that's all that matters. Like it made you feel good, right?
I think a lot of it is nostalgia though. Like because
That's a problem.
understood, but you remember, like if I drink grape Kool-Aid, I remember, especially with a little bit of lemon in it, I remember hanging out with my cousins,
Yep,
we're
yep.
playing or whatever. So
Yep.
it is a little bit of nostalgia. Now that don't mean I can't replace it. Or
It is nostalgia, and I think nostalgia in this particular case will get us in trouble, and it'll keep us into this same cycle. Because what happens is, one of us, and some of us, we ain't got to do it. All right, we can choose not to do it. We can die, pass it down to our kids, and maybe our kids can do it, or they cannot do it, and their kids can do it. At some point, somebody has to make the decision to say, we have to break what we see or what our nostalgia is. Our nostalgia, when we drink grape Kool-Aid, it can be grape Kool-Aid without as much sugar and not as much every single month. Like
I got you.
grape Kool-Aid in itself isn't necessarily bad, but it's like we overdo
It's
it.
like
We're gonna put a lot of
sugar.
sugar.
I mean-
We're gonna put a lot of sugar in it, and I hate to use grape Kool-Aid because that's such a stereotypical
That's why I
one.
used
But
it. That's why I used it.
right, but that's to my point. Like I just feel like because I'm really big on nostalgia, music. Definitely songs, like certain songs, and we kind of touched on this last time. I can separate the artist from the person. Everybody can't. Everybody not willing to, and I understand that. But it's because those songs, there are certain songs when I hear them, I'm like, man, it takes me back.
It's triggers.
Like it's triggers. Like I remember that cookout. I remember that family reunion. Right. I remember seeing this family member I hadn't seen in forever. I get it. But one of us gonna have to be put our big girl panties, put our big boy drawers on, and make that decision to say, yo, if we wanted this healthier lifestyle, at some point we have to actually change tangible and intangible things in our life to make that happen. Or we can just be lazy, not do it, and just live this life of doing everything you want to do, which you can do that, but it's a healthy way to do it.
And I think that's an excuse sometimes that we mask our limit of thinking, right? I do better when I know better.
Yep.
And you keyed in, I have to, right? The key is I
Starts with you.
have to start. I have to choose. And we were talking about the poverty mindset, right? I remember growing up in Chicago eating the meals that I ate, and I ate the meals that we did because of the mindset that was in the house of the adult that was raising me. That mindset was a poverty mindset. I only have limited funding, so that means what can I prepare with limited funding out of my own toolbox that
Right.
I've been exposed to. What was that? That was walking down to the Arabs getting sorry, I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's so accurate. As soon as you said Arabs, I thought about the ANZ market in my hometown that we always go to.
Right, the Arabic owned store, and go get a pound or 2 pounds of chicken wings for $2, and then that consists of 10 to 12 wings, and then go get a bag of potatoes that's $1. Now I just made a meal for a household with under $5, right? And if I was taught, hey, go down to the store, get this cheap chicken, get this cheap rice, get this cheap potatoes, because that's all they really sold in the store. We didn't have anything called the market at all. So now I was taught that come back home and I keep making those dishes. Okay, I don't have money for juice, but I have this Kool-Aid that's 5 cents a pack, and then I have the sugar that's just $2 to get a bag of it. Okay, and I can make 3 gallons of it. I'm gonna do that, and I keep. My mom taught me, her grandma taught her, and then her grandma taught her because they had to raise 20 kids, and this is how they made it. And then I have my child now. I try to teach her, and not in that moment did anyone say, "Is that the only option?"
Right.
Well,
What if I?
Right.
but right now, like Pinterest, I found, man, Pinterest like peeled my wig back.
Yep.
When I found out, one, you can make your own condiments, but then they had people. I was exposed to people using strawberries and mint, smashing that up in the water. Now you're making fruit infused water.
And
Instead of-
exposed. That's another key.
Yeah.
She was
Exposure.
exposed,
Yeah.
right?
And being in these poverty-stricken environments, you're not exposed to any of that
Where we
Now
are.
with the internet.
Well, hold on. Before the internet,
before the internet. Yeah.
we were made fun of when we had the thought to go get the exposure, right? I remember
Yep.
when I used to always try to leave the city. I don't know why I was in. I just always like, yo, I'm gonna leave the south side and get on the train and go downtown or go to the north side to get something. And what it was, I was looking for exposure beyond where I was. And they used to say, and I hate use these terminology. They were like, yo, Erica, you're white folks.
Yeah,
You're
acting-
Mexican folks.
acting
You
like-
selling out.
Yeah.
But it was what they identified it with. It
Yep.
was taught behavior. It was
Yep.
taught language. It was taught mind frame.
Yep.
But it was something inside of me was like, don't settle. But how many times someone told you you can't have them thoughts, or that's not a comfortable way of thinking, right? And I just thank God that I didn't have anyone to say, no, that's stupid, don't do that. Or if I did, I didn't entertain it. I kept going. And when people you call me names like that, I laughed it off. But I would still go to the north side. I would still go outside of the city and explore things. And that's how I stumbled on the Urban League door. Like, know what? Oh, I can do this. So going back to the full circle of the food and behavior, we have to be courageous enough to say, you know what? Even though my mom taught me this, it may not have been the best way because of the limiting of how she was taught and how she was brought up. So let me explore something different. So when I have a conversation with my daughter sometimes, I be like, okay, what do you think? And she's like, well, I learned you can cook it this way. Oh, okay, let's do it then. Okay, I'm on board with that because you may know a better way than me. And that poverty mindset, just like 2 weeks ago, I just relocated. My budget is off sync completely. And I was like, man, I saw a store called Save-A-Lot. And I remember when I was younger, to stay on the budget, I went to Save-A-Lot. It was like Aldi's. It's cheap food. You can get a lot on the budget, on cheap. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Save-A-Lot. And immediately something said, there you go, that poverty mindset again. Change your mindset, but then you got to change your habits and your behavior. So why do you keep going and doing the same behavior when you had nothing? That's not where you are anymore. What are you changing? So yeah, you can say, man, I'm going to have a different mindset. I'm going to think this. I'm going to say my positive affirmation every morning. But if my behavior doesn't change, I'm just talking.